Next, I want to talk about another one of my favorite guests, and that is Marissa Peer. And Marissa has built an entire career out of 3 words. And those 3 words are, I am enough. And that is a great way of eliminating negative self-talk and actually putting self-talk at the very front of your brain. And so here's Marissa talking about this concept of I am enough.
Here's a rule of the mind. Every thought you think and every word you say is a blueprint that your mind and body work to make real. Whatever you most want to hear, don't give that responsibility for someone else to tell you those words. Tell yourself. Say, I'm beautiful. Even if you're a guy, I matter. I'm worth it. I have a gift to share the word. I'm here for a reason. I'm enough. And maybe there are other words you want to hear, but whatever you want, mom, dad, grandparents, siblings, some guy, some girl to tell you, tell yourself. It will actually have way more power. Because if someone else goes, oh, you're so great, I love you, they've probably got an agenda. They're going to ask you for something. But when you tell yourself, your mind doesn't go, what's your agenda? Because if you say this every day, it must be true. So for anyone out there who's in pain, what is it you most want to hear? What's the missing bit, the missing words you've never got? Think of what they are and say them every day, and they will sink in like Vaseline on chapped lips. They'll sink in and they'll heal you. So don't wait for someone else. Do it yourself.
This is such a simple concept, but it's one that's so powerful, and that is I am enough. So if you're watching me right now, I want you to say it out loud. I am enough. Come on, say it with me. I am enough. One more time. I am enough. It's very powerful, and it's something you can use every single day. Again, if you're coming to us a little late or if you're here right now, tell me, what is the negative self-talk that you engage in? What are some of those comments that you make to yourself? It could be critiques about your life, your physicality, your relationships, your business, your impact, your love, whatever it is. Just type those in so I know what you're thinking. And also type in, what is that aspect of your life where you could say, I am enough? Is it as a parent? Again, as an entrepreneur, in a relationship? Where is it where you could say, I am enough? And that could now become a positive loop. Marissa found that so many people, the depression in their lives and the unhappiness comes from just not feeling they're enough. And so they have to fill this black hole with something else. They have to buy things for people. They have to be successful. They have to be pretty. They have to be useful. When if they could just be enough, they could get their brains to the next level where they would just evolve and start to transform and start to be the people that they want to be. And so I love this concept. Again, I would rather you get there by being more of who you want to be than thinking that you're not enough. And that's why this concept by Marissa is really, really powerful. And again, I really appreciate these comments coming in here. A lot of great affirmations coming in. Ruben is saying, my daily affirmation is I am healthy. I am getting skinnier every day. I will climb Mount Kilimanjaro. I love this. Just said that every day since Thanksgiving 2018, I've lost 90 pounds and affirmations work. Affirmations do work because you're hijacking that normal negative self-talk that you would do. You're putting in positive thoughts that start the day, and you're talking about your life as if you want it to be. And that's why every morning, I read my affirmations earlier, I say, I am enough, I am enough, I am enough. And I start off the day talking about how great I am. I'm a high-value, extremely motivated executive who makes big, bold, motherfucking decisive corporate moves. I'm like talking about all this stuff we do. London Real is the greatest new media and transformation company on the planet, period. Our mission is to create a mass-scale transformation of humanity into a fully empowered, conscious, and cooperative species. Once I say that, it's very hard for me to come into the studio and engage in negative self-talk because I'm like, we're doing this. We're making this impact. People are looking for us. We're going to go crush it. And that's what positive self-talk can do for your life. So again, if you're coming in late, tell me, what is that negative self-talk that you engage in, and rephrase it now into a positive self-talk. So I want everyone here, if you're live with me and if you're watching this later, type in a comment right now of something that you could say positive about yourself and make it big and beautiful. I love this climbing Mount Kilimanjaro. I love it that, you're saying big things about yourself. I'm the CEO of a multi-million-dollar corporation. I have a body that most people would cry over. I have love in all of my relationships in my life. I have a friend group that most people would kill for. full of love. I want you to write those things right now because I want to finish this off with these positive affirmations. And I want to also finish this with a great tool that you can use. And this is something that was actually originally mentioned to me by Jim Quick, who was in the studio 2 days ago. He is a learning expert, and he's just really good at using your brain in the right way. And he uses this expression called abracadabra. And that's what we hear in the old movies like magicians use when they're trying to transform something. They say abracadabra. And what Jim uses is the first 4 letters of that word, abracadabra. And that is A-B-R-A. And I want you to go through this acronym because it can really help you the next time you get in a negative situation, negative self-talk, you get in a stressful situation or an anxious situation where you want to respond negatively. Use these 4 words, A-B-R-A. And it goes like this. A is to acknowledge that it's there. So boom, all of a sudden you have a negative thought, you're going to say something negative to yourself, you're feeling negative. I first want you to acknowledge that it's there. The next thing is B, I want you to breathe. The next thing is R, which is realizing what you don't want or release what you don't want. And then finally an A is to align yourself to a different reality. And I want to actually use Dan Pena as a great example here because Dan Pena, the $50 billion man, came into my studio for the first time and he said, Brian, is this really what London Real is going to be? You on a one-man show wearing your skateboarder stuff? Is this really your future? And it bothered me, right? My first reaction was, F this old man. How dare you come into my studio with your $50 billion nonsense and your castle? Why don't you hit the road, right? But that would have been negative and I wouldn't have got anything from it. I would have just had a negative loop in my mind. How dare that guy criticize me, blah, blah, blah. But that wouldn't have helped me evolve. So instead, I used the abracadabra. So first, I acknowledged what was there, and I was like, okay, here's a guy who's giving me some constructive feedback and thinks I can be bigger and I can be doing more. So cool. Let me acknowledge that. Let me breathe as I deal with the anxiety and anger that comes up when someone's being critical of me. So I breathe. Okay, I breathe, all right? Then I release what I don't want. I don't want the negative energy. I don't want the anger coming. So I release that. But I keep the fact that someone has just said, Brian, you could be better. And finally, I use that last A and I align. And what I did in this case is I aligned. And I didn't say I want to be Dan Pena and buy a castle and yell at people for a living, although some say I do that. But what I did say is, you know what? Maybe I could change my goals for London Real and I could go bigger. And that's what I did that day. I actually decided to keep talking to Dan, and I later went to his castle seminar 4 months later, and it changed the course of London Real. But it's because I used abracadabra. I could have done what I normally do, which is negative reaction, negative self-talk, negativity, I go nowhere. But instead, I took that situation, I acknowledged that there was a point, right? He was actually not punching me in the face or spitting at me. He was actually saying, Brian, you could be better. So I acknowledged that. I breathed, which is so important sometimes. You got to take a breath, take a pause because your emotions just kick off and you got to be able to be logical. I released what I didn't want there. I didn't want my anger. I didn't want my negativity. And finally, I aligned to a new reality that I could have. And in this case, it was one that adopted those feelings. And you can use this in all of those situations. And again, the next time you're expressing that negative self-talk, acknowledge that it's there. Look at me in the mirror. I look horrible. I look fat. Okay, acknowledge that it's there. Acknowledge that you have that reaction. It's valid. Breathe, okay, so we can let those emotions die down a little bit. You can release the negative thought because it's not going to help you, but you can take that and align yourself to a new reality. Okay, guess what? I'm going to replace that with a positive affirmation, is that I am a healthy individual, I train regularly, and I look amazing. And that means an action, which is that step, you going to the gym, changing your eating patterns. And that is a great way to use the abracadabra every time you have that negative thought. But don't let negative thoughts slide. You've got to attack them right when they come into your brain. Every second they sit there is a place where they can fester, they can grow, and it can start to infect your brain and all the other people around you. And to be honest, I stay away from people with negative thought patterns. I literally walk out of the room. I don't spend more than 10 seconds with anyone with a negative thought pattern. And that keeps me protected from their negativity. And I try not to spend any time with negative thought patterns in my head. And I catch myself now having a negative thought about something. And I'm just like, you know what? I don't have enough time on this earth to engage with that. What I'm going to do is abracadabra that, take it, release it, breathe, and align to a new reality and take some action, or not. Maybe I just get that thought out of my head and I move forward to my new reality. So those are my thoughts for today. Really want you to try to understand those negative thoughts. I would love to get you to type in the comments below, what is that negative thought that you're continually telling yourself? And then I want you to replace it with that positive thought, that positive affirmation that can move you forward to the next level. And finally, I want you to put an action step that you can take. Because without action, this is all just a bunch of nonsense. Look at David Goggins, he's all about action. Look at Sadhguru, all about action. Look about Marissa Peer, it's all about taking that positive action. I'm enough, using that abracadabra, starting with your truth and moving forward to the next day. So I'm really happy about that. I really appreciate these comments. Sumaya said, how do you release the negative energy, the anger and resentment? These are good questions. I'll get to that. Jimmy from Instagram says, I've been practicing this last month, getting clean, thinking clearly, and realizing I can do anything in the world. That's the positive thoughts that you need. And then Owen Tarek says, sometimes I had negative thoughts, which I think may improve me, but actually not. It can get me more lazy. Again, if you have that negative thought, again, acknowledge it, breathe, release the stuff you don't need, and then realign to a new reality. That's the best way you do that. And if you have that negative energy, that anger and resentment, breathe through it, find a new plan. I love a physical practice, I love meditation, I love gratitude, and I love affirmations. All of that gets you into a proper headspace. But I just want to leave you with this one thought. You are the product of your thoughts, pure and simple. This is this incredible device sitting on top of your neck. It's not there to remind you to eat. It's not there to necessarily watch Netflix. It's not there for that purpose. It's literally there to design your future. It's there to show you where you can go. And you can manifest anything you want in this world. And if you want to leave a negative, poor, mediocre life, guess what? That's what you're going to get. You can literally manifest anything you want, but it all starts with those positive thoughts. So work on that this week. Again, leave me some comments in the messages below. Would love to hear how you can actually manifest it, but stop it in the brain right now. If you hear anyone around you engaging in a negative thought, get them to just reframe it in a positive thought. They might look at you funny, but you say, look, I got this from London Real. You can show them this video. But imagine if the whole world started reducing their negative self-talk and started really telling themselves positive things, telling themselves they could do anything, acting as if they were the person that was successful. This would be an incredible place to live. So let's all start doing that one person at a time.
At London Real, we believe that individual transformation can change the world. Join us and start your journey today.